All right, who am I speaking with?
Hi, I'm Anthony Ha. I'm the assistant editor of a tech blog called Venture Beats.
So Anthony, you did an awesome job moderating. Let me ask you, what did you learn from the panel?
I think sort of the two most interesting points that I heard. One was the point that Rob made about the fact that I think there's a lot of talk about social media and how it's not really measurable, but that in fact most of the stuff is quantifiable. I mean, there are some assumptions in terms of what's actually making money, but you can actually see who's clicking on what. You can look at your sales and see how they're being affected. And I think just trying to sort of demystify that and not just say it's sort of this black box where you put a lot of effort into and you don't know what you get out of it. And I also really liked Tony's point about that your customers aren't stupid and you should be engaging with them directly and admit. And part of the great thing about social media is that you can admit that you're wrong. It's not about just going on and just trying to kind of put out fires, but it's to actually listen and admit that you screwed up once in a while.
What do you think about the discussion about advocates versus influencers? Michael Brito said that in aggregate, the advocates are far more powerful for your brand. Agree, disagree?
I mean, that's something where I don't necessarily have a strong feeling about. I think that I'd want to see some sort of numbers about what, and it probably depends on what you're looking for too, right? I think certainly that if you're trying to drive like just basic sales, I would imagine that he's probably right that you can get that having some famous celebrity or whatever like saying that they like something versus your friend. I mean, it seems like the advocate being your friend is like much more important, and just having a lot of people who are just sort of quote unquote regular people speaking positively about something is probably much more important than having one influential person. I don't think they're necessarily in opposition. Of course, I kind of have to say that since I guess you could argue that our blog is sort of an influencer type blog. But I think it's also valuable just to draw that distinction, not just to say, okay, like let's find the guy who has 4,000 Twitter followers like you do, David, and like we had to put all our attention on him, because I think one of the points he was making was that that it takes a lot to get this person's attention. You get them, it's like a one-off thing. Like people who really like a brand, they can they don't necessarily need anything. You just sort of tell them, hey, like why don't you just tell people that you really like this, and that's something they can do multiple times, and you don't need to be like, hey, 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 hey.